Close your eyes and picture Earth, the planet you know. Cities, roads, fields, fences, and farms.
Deserts in Africa, ice in the poles, and dense forests broken up by highways and houses.
Now delete all of it. Delete everything a human hand has ever touched on this planet.
What you are left with is the wild world your ancestors were born into so long ago. A planet so loud, so packed with life, you would not recognize a single corner of it. A world where the Sahara was a green savanna filled with flowing rivers and active hippos. Where the night sky was bright enough to cast shadows, and the ground shook under giants.
This video is about the actual sensory reality of the planet when our species first showed up. Right now, the Sahara is the largest hot desert on Earth, with millions of square kilometers. But 10,000 years ago, it was green, with dense grasslands, trees, rivers, and deep lakes.
Hippos lived there, elephants roamed through it, and fish filled the many active waterways. Early humans fished and hunted in a place that is now one of the most hostile.
Scientists call it the Green Sahara, and the physical evidence of this past is everywhere. Fossilized riverbeds are visible from satellites, and cave paintings show people swimming in the desert.
Bones of crocodiles are found buried deep under the dry sand of the modern desert. What changed it? Partly climate shifts, and partly livestock stripping away the protective vegetation. A lush landscape slowly baked into a desert, partly because humans showed up with goats. This was not just Africa. Europe was thick with dense, ancient, old-growth woodlands.
Sea levels sat much lower during ice ages, exposing land masses that are now underwater.
And people walked between continents on land bridges that no longer exist on our maps.
The animals are the hardest part to picture because they were unlike anything alive today. In Europe, massive cave lions prowled the landscape, 25% larger than modern lions. People painted these giant lions on cave walls in France, meaning they saw them often.
Those same caves were shared with giant cave bears, weighing up to 500 kilograms.
In the Americas, short-faced bears stood 6 feet tall, the most dangerous land predators.
Giant ground sloths, 10 feet long, walked on their knuckles because of their massive claws. Glyptodons, armored like giant tanks, roamed the plains, reaching the size of a car. Dire wolves, American lions, and mastodons lived alongside herds of giant woolly mammoths. And horses ran wild, having evolved in the Americas before disappearing 10,000 years ago.
In Australia, it got even stranger with Diprotodon, a giant wombat the size of a rhinoceros.
Marsupial lions and megalania, a giant monitor lizard 7 meters long, ruled the land.
This giant lizard was still alive when humans first reached the continent 50,000 years ago.
And everywhere, mammoths. They were not rare. They were a common part of the landscape. Humans hunted them, painted them, and used their massive bones to build sturdy houses. The last woolly mammoth disappeared 4,000 years ago, while the Egyptian pyramids were standing. The world still had mammoths when humans were building the famous Sphinx in Egypt. What happened to them? Wherever humans arrived across the globe, the large animals vanished.
Climate gets partial blame, but the pattern of extinction is too consistent with human arrival. The world your ancestors inherited was full of giants. The world they left was not. There was no light pollution, not one electric light anywhere on the entire Earth. The Milky Way blazed every clear night, bright enough to cast a faint shadow. Today, a third of the world cannot see the Milky Way from where they live. For our ancestors, the sky was a functional calendar, signaling when to migrate. The Pleiades star cluster appears in the mythology of indigenous cultures on every continent. Eclipses were terrifying events, with the sun dying in the middle of the day. Before fire, half of every human life was spent in total, absolute darkness. After fire, the circle of light around a campfire became the center of safety. The ancient world was alive with diverse creatures and giant bird migrations. Frog choruses were deafening, and whale songs carried hundreds of miles through quiet oceans. Rivers were clear, and prehistoric salmon runs were so thick the water seemed to boil. Oceans held whale populations several times larger than what we see in modern times.
It was a world full of death, where humans were prey as often as predators.
Our nervous systems were built for that dangerous world, but now we react to phones,